Good morning once again, everyone, and welcome back. We're now on to our next session on their powerful brands. I hope everyone's still tuned in. Again, we encourage your active participation today as our knowledge partners, Pact and Manning, will be awarding the most active attendees who rate sessions and leave comments with free ebooks. Now, once again, I'm Maria, and I will be your host for today. We'll keep you connected with our speaker, and I will be giving them your questions afterwards. So make sure to make use of the Q&A and chat um, feature that we have there. Now, on to our speaker. He is an author, entrepreneur, and international speaker, and a proud founder of the award winning tea company, Daniel's Chai Bar, formerly known as Tea by Daniel. Now, Daniel helps people and organizations adopt a more human centric approach to business, entrepreneurship, and life. Using real life examples and experiences, Daniel will leave you ready to tackle your business, customers, and people in a creative and realistic and impactful way. Now, his presentation will be all about the power of personality, how to discover the power of your personality and infusing it into your brand. Now, in this high energy presentation, he will take us through a human centric journey of discovering the unique value of our personality and, more importantly, how to infuse that in our business to stand out and leave a spectacular mark in our industry. Now, without any further ado, Daniel, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction. And hello, good morning to everybody out there all across the world. I know that the conference has been very valuable for you. I joined in a few sessions, and I know it's just nothing but good tips, advice. I'm hoping to share some with you as well today. We'll be talking about the power of personality, or as I like to call it, the pop, and how you can use that personality for yourself and for your brand to do some spectacular things. So we're gonna have some fun. Now, I will say, as a bit of a housewarming thing, this is the most creative space I've ever presented in. I'm in a hotel washroom, and it's a nice washroom, but nonetheless, it's a washroom, and it was just something that was really crazy. But you know what? We're gonna work with it. We're gonna make it work today, and see if we could pull something out of this washroom. All right. Cool. So let's jump right into the presentation today. I'll give you maybe 60-second bio about me. Quick disclaimer, okay? This is about me according to me. So I get to be a little bit biased here. All right. So I'm a super amazing husband. Again, that's according to me. Fit father of 2 boys, award-winning founder, as mentioned, published a few books, 4 books, and a certified tea master. So if anybody out there is drinking a cup of tea this morning, my hat's off to you. But we love the coffee drinkers as well. All right. So let's start off with a quote, because this quote is one that I like to start presentations with, and also take it for myself whenever I'm in an opportunity to learn from somebody else. The mind is like a parachute. It only works when it's open. So I'm hoping that we can open up our minds today, see if we could gain some new information and put some new strategies to work after this presentation. All right, now get your thinking caps on and imagine with me for a second that you have the power to infuse your brand, your company, your business with your own unique character traits. So you're gonna have to think back. What are those tendencies that are very natural to you, innate? It's very normal for you to do this, respond in that way. You see the world through this lens. Take all of those character traits, and I want you to imagine if you could put that into your business or into your organization, or if you're managing a team, how would you infuse that into your team? Because that's what we're hoping to do today, to find ways to do that. But if you were to do that, what would your brand look like? If it had a little bit of you, some of your recipe, what would your brand look like? How would it be perceived by others, by customers, potential customers? How would it set you apart from your competitors? Now, I asked those 3 questions because as we're going through the presentation, I want you to be thinking about how you can take different aspects of your personality, which you have. I can't give you anything new when it comes to personality. We all have it. but how can we utilize it in a different way in these areas of our business life and even our personal life? That's what we're going to accomplish. Personality is your individual value proposition. Now, when we're talking about business, we're talking about marketing strategies. Brands tend to talk about what is your value proposition? What is your USP or unique selling proposition or selling point? What makes you different? We talk about that a lot in business. When it comes to an individual, it's a God-given thing that we're all just different. There's nobody that is exactly the same. It's impossible. Even twins are different. And so we have our own individual value proposition based on the experiences that you've been through, where you live geographically, how you reason situations. You're going to come with new perspectives on something that I might differentiate in. So if this is the only thing that we have that is different, which is our personalities, then we should be looking to our personalities as a point of differentiation in our business. And that's what I was able to do when I started my tea company. And I'll get into a little bit of storytelling to share with you how. But I want us to really put a lot of focus towards our personalities. Because in business, we measure things usually by product quality, price, positioning, and those are good. They're very important. But brands are not talking a lot about, what do people think about us? What is the sentiment or the temperature in the room from our customers when our brand is spoken about? Because all of this has to do with our personality. So how to discover the power of our personalities or the pop? We're going to talk about three main ways. One, I like to call the paper ring. And the paper ring is how we could become hard to forget. Not just easy to remember, but hard to forget. Then we're going to talk about how we can give our products a voice. Because in 2023, if we are still counting on products to sell themselves, then we're missing out on opportunities. Our products can become so much more. Our services can become so much more if we enable them to have a voice, kind of like ChatGPT. But that's another presentation for another time. And then if we do number one right, if we're hard to forget in our customers' minds, and if our products have a voice and they are talking to our customers or potential customers, which is a tailored approach of selling. If we do those two things right, then there's also a third thing that's happening at the same time. We're building a magnetic culture where we don't need to find talent. Talent is actually being attracted to us because of this attractive personality that our brand has taken on. So it kind of works in sync like that. Let's dive in. Number one, the paper ring. How can we become hard to forget? Well, you've been with me for maybe about 3 minutes now, and I don't know if you can tell yet, but when I was in school, I was what they would call the class clown. I could not hold back a joke. I was always putting up my hand or not, making people laugh. I just like to have fun in school. To me, it was a social network before Facebook. Talk to people, make people laugh, have fun. Now, of course, the teachers didn't like that. I was disruptive, they said. And, that's fine. And I had to deal with the setbacks of that. That's another story. But when you look at the character traits from the days I call the sandbox days, I was seen as someone who was confident, humorous, always like to tell jokes, but also caring. If there was a new student in the class or somebody was feeling down, I was the type of person that wanted to see them smiling. So that would come in the form of me telling a joke or, bringing the class's attention towards something good that they're doing, whatever it is. I would pull on my character traits to do these different things in the classroom. But I was seen as the class clown. Now, there was a young girl who was new to the class, and her name was Renata. Now, Renata is a shy personality. She's very curious and independent. She liked to work on her own. Now, by the way, and I'll jump ahead, Renata is my wife today, but I'm going to talk about how that happened. Now, she's very different, as you can see from me, very different personalities, right? And that is true to the nature of personality. You're not the same as me. We might have some tendencies, some similarities, but we're very different people. We see the world in a different way. So a shy, curious, independent girl and a humorous, caring, and confident guy. Now, I decided to push the limit because I really was fond of this girl, Renata, and I decided I wanted to be her friend, more than friend actually, with my little 8-year-old mind. So one day I decided to go up to Renata's desk and I scrumpled a piece of paper into the shape of a ring. And I went to her desk on one knee and said, Renata, will you marry me? Thinking with all confidence, this girl is gonna like me and just everything's beautiful. Now, the response was something along the lines of that. Very disdained. Obviously, there was a disconnect in personalities. She actually hated me at that moment. Now, I won't go through the whole love story, but that was in grade 3 when I was 8 years old and Renata was 8 years old as well. I went down on one knee and proposed to Renata with a paper ring. Now, fast forward when we were 21 years old, we were keeping a friendship throughout the years. And at 21, I proposed to Renata again, this time with a gold ring. And she said yes. I don't know if it was because it was gold and not paper. Hey, I'll leave that up to you to decide. But she said yes. Now, the happy ending, we get married, and we've been married for the last 12 years. Now, how did we get to that moment where we were maintaining a friendship? When we were teenagers, we went to the clubs, we saw different people. There was a point where I moved away to the other side of the city. She moved away at another part in time. How did we get together? How did we maintain to eventually getting married? I call that the paper ring. Now, it is the one thing that when we were younger stood out. Renata remembered me by that. She classified me as that. You were that class clown, the guy who proposed to me with the paper ring. So let's use that as a symbol now. We have this paper ring that, as you can see, can make someone remember us for years, stick with us for years. What is your paper ring moment with your client, potential client, customer? What is the thing about you or your brand that is going to make someone look back and say, I remember this, I remember that, and in essence, make them want to marry you? And I don't mean literally, but I mean marry your brand or be loyal to your brand. We have to find a way to create a paper ring moment. Now, it shouldn't just be a moment. It really should just be us taking our personality, sharing it with people, with customers, with potential customers, and letting them be attracted to that. Because that is our paper ring moment. And that's how we use the power of our personality to attract customers and infuse into our brand. So what are you doing today that is going to make it difficult for a customer to forget you? Are they going to go home after an interaction with you and text message a friend or email a friend or call a friend and say, oh my goodness, what would that be about? That's where personality can shine through. People talk about who makes them laugh. People talk about who makes them cry. People talk about the things that make them think. And so it's not about being one personality, because you might not be funny. I might not be thought-provoking. But it's finding what is natural, authentic, innate to you and using that as a point of connection with customers, with clients. And we call that the power of personality and the paper ring. And so here we are, finally, Renata says yes, we're 21 years old, we get married, and we start a year and a half after this tea company. And the company was called Tea by Daniel. Again, I love my teas, I'm always drinking tea. And so we started this tea company. Now, when I started business, when I got into business and entrepreneurship, immediately, and this happens in life, this is what we do in business, this is what we do in life, I didn't think that I could carry my personality traits into business. Business is way too serious, right? There's no room for humor in business. There's no room for curiosity in business. This is business. And so I started my business, as you can see in that gray photo. My wife and I, we would go to trade shows. We'd stand up there with samples of tea and watch thousands of people walk by us because we're trying to be business people, calm, collective. Meanwhile, that's not true to who we are. We're actually shelling our personalities just in the sake of doing business. Brands do it too. You get so lost in the process of how we position ourselves in the marketplace, how we sell through, and how we build our digital strategy. And all these things are great, but we don't need to silence our personality or our brand's personality just to bring about these plans. We can still infuse it into what we're doing. And so I wasn't seeing the growth that I thought I should in business. People weren't buying my products. I was seeing little to no sales. And I was really down about that. And I remember having a conversation with my dad. And your parents know you from the sandbox. They know how you were, who you were, and the things you used to do. And so my dad asked me, he said, Dan, what is the difference between being childish and being childlike? And there is a difference. And at that time, I didn't really know. I didn't have an answer. He said, to be childish means to be silly and immature. And obviously, in business, there's no room to be silly and immature. But what does it mean to be childlike? To be childlike is when we exhibit some of the natural tendencies that we see in children. Now, what are those tendencies? Well, number one, fearlessness. Children are fearless. But if we were to take that and infuse that into our brand, into our marketing, into our advertising, do we have to what we say? That's one aspect of business. When we go to trade shows and we're facing clients or we're facing the public, potential clients, are we fearless or do we just sit down on a chair behind a trade show booth? Do we get up and talk about our products and the passion that we have for our products and our services? Do we talk about them in a way that would make somebody want to find out more or follow us or, be attracted to our company? We tend to sometimes silence fearlessness and just be mediocre sometimes. But if we look to children, the child in the sandbox doesn't know. He's just like, follow me, and he's building castles. It's that kind of fearlessness that we need in our marketing, in our business planning, in our team meetings, in our communications, in our PR, that kind of fearlessness. The naivety, the trustworthiness. Children don't have a reason not to trust you. Are we the same with our teammates, our colleagues, our customers? So we see this trusting, fearlessness, simplistic or simplicity. Children are so simple. But when we get into business, we get really complicated sometimes. Complicated systems, complicated processes, complicated methodologies, complicated acronyms. If we were to do business with the simplicity that a child has, here's those childlike personality characteristics, sometimes we can do business more efficiently. And we are starting to implement things like this. We call it, lean operations. I'm running a lean operation. Really, it's just another word for simple, cutting the excess. And so children teach us a lot about how to use the power of our personality. So the moment I had that conversation with my dad, I felt re-inspired to get back to the natural personality qualities that I possess, which for me was, I don't mind, dressing up in a costume and running around saying, try my samples. That's me. I don't mind making a song about tea, which I did, and putting it up on YouTube. That's me. My wife, she's completely different from me. She started having meaningful conversations with customers, building strong relationships in so much that if a customer walked through our tea shop, she knew if it was their child's birthday or their birthday and already had some form of customized experience, which we'll get into, chocolates or streamers or the birthday song. How are we able to do that? When we start to actually utilize who we really are and not just the business version of ourselves, we can open up amazing doors of opportunity, and we actually start to become CEOs. And I don't mean chief executive officer, but people who catch every opportunity, because that's what the real CEO does. You're constantly putting your personality out there, infusing it into your brand until your brand starts to have its own personality as well. And it starts to be an extension that's communicating to the public. And so the moment I started to infuse my personality back into this tea company, this boring tea company, sales started to climb, followers started to climb, and we started to get that loyal fan base built around our brand because of the power of personality, or the pop. One day, it opened a huge door for us where I was invited to serve my tea to His Royal Highness, King Charles III, who I'm happy to say is a repeat customer, who actually ordered more of our tea. It's called the famous Lion Chai, ordered it to the Buckingham Palace. How do we get these monumental milestones in our business? It might be that for me, but for you, it might be sales, hitting a sales ceiling. It might be getting a certain amount of following. It might be getting recognition from a trusted media source, whatever it is for you. It's going to come on account of all the business things, of course, but putting the best personality out there for yourself, for your team, and for your brand. And we call that the pop. The pop, or the power of personality, can even open amazing doors for us. Would this opportunity happen for us if we just sat down behind a trade show booth? Probably not. So I know that there's not like a live chat that I'm seeing right now, but when I put this slide up here, this is a slide that a company put up as a billboard for an advertising campaign. Now, I won't get to see your answers right now, but I will ask you, which brand is this? Which brand do you think posted this billboard? And I'll give you a second. Maybe you have already answered it. Maybe you already know it in your mind. Maybe you've seen it. But if you don't, which would be your best guess? 3, 2, 1. Now, if you answered McDonald's, then you're correct. But I'm curious to find out, and this is just a test. Why did you say McDonald's? If you did, because when I show this, most people say, oh, that's McDonald's, it's McDonald's. They write in the chat, McDonald's, McDonald's. But let's go back to that slide. It doesn't say McDonald's anywhere. I see like almost half or a third of a burger bun. It looks like a burger bun, and it says open 24 hours. That is very generic. But yet, everybody says McDonald's, McDonald's, McDonald's. So what is it that's really happening here? Well, we talked about the paper ring, that thing that makes you hard to forget. McDonald's has, over the years, and of course, they're a humongous brand, but they have positioned themselves to be so hard to forget in so many different ways. And we're going to break it down so that even when you see their logo, even when you see a bun, a burger bun, you almost know it's McDonald's. Why? They're embedded in our minds and our hearts, and they did it very strategically. Now, a burger is a burger. Why don't the majority of people say that's Wendy's, that's Shake Shack, that's Burger King, or maybe another burger joint from wherever you're tuning in from? Why McDonald's? Well, let's take a look at that. Successful brands use the power of their personality to tell us who they are, not what they sell. And that's what McDonald's does an amazing job at. They tell us who they are and not what they sell. Now, of course, you'll say, yeah, there's times that they promote on TV, try our new Big Mac, of course. But overall, if you look over the years, they spend more time telling us who they are about themselves, their personality, than what they sell. Let's dive deeper. When we were younger, we saw Ronald McDonald. Now, what was McDonald's trying to say? Hey, there's a clown in our store. What they were trying to convey is that as a company, as a restaurant, as an establishment, we are friendly. This is a personality trait of the brand. We are friendly. And so they put this happy clown as a mascot because they're telling their clients, they're telling their customers, We are friendly. Now, while I'm telling the story of McDonald's, be thinking about your brand. What do you tell your customers? How do you tell them that? How do you convey that message? So McDonald's puts a clown. They're saying to us, we are friendly. Okay, McDonald's updates now and gets self-serving machines and an app. What are they trying to say? We're trying to compete with Apple? No. They're trying to tell us we are adaptable, another personality trait. That if this is where the world is going, if this is where the industry is going, then we're here for you. We'll adapt. That's what they're saying. Then they came out with McCafe. What were they saying? We see that you are starting to go to Starbucks and all these different coffee stores. Well, we're competitive. Again, they're spending more of their time telling us who they are than what they sell. Once they show us that they're willing to sell muffins and pastries and macchiatos, that's saying we're competitive. We're not just going to lose your business to Starbucks and the coffee companies. Again, the power of personality, the paper ring. Why is McDonald's so hard to forget? These are the reasons. They talk to us. When they come out with salads, they're saying, we're listening. We're hearing that you're saying maybe the food is not that healthy. You want healthier options. Here's a salad. So they come out with the Ronald House. We're caring. They have breakfast. We're early risers. So successful brands spend a lot of time telling us who they are. And we should do the same. With my own company, I spend more time saying what we're all about, why we sell tea, what we use tea to do to impact people's lives in a positive way. This is the kind of messaging that we want to focus on. And so I see a question that says from the audience, what if some startup founders have difficulties identifying themselves with their brands? How can marketers help and where to start? Great question. And I'm just going to interject with an answer to that question right now. There is times where you could make that differentiation. So you don't have to be, the person doesn't have to become the brand. There's room for personal brand and there's room for corporate brands. When I talk about that, I always say, you know, who is the, well, for my own company, it's Daniel's Chai Bar. People would automatically say, oh, Daniel's Chai Bar. Yeah, I know Daniel. Or David's Tea, you know? But when I say, oh, well, who's the face of Doritos? Nobody really knows. Doritos founder or founders could be on a vacation. You know, they could even be in a scandal. Who knows? That is a clear example of a brand who's still really big, still has personality, still conveys to their customers, but they're completely separated from, there's no individual that's front facing for a brand like Doritos, right? And so you can be the Oprah Winfrey, or you can be the Doritos and separate yourself completely from the brand. But then just know your brand is going to have to pull its weight in putting its power of personality out there. All right. So I hope that answers the question there. And we'll have more room for questions after, I'm sure. And so when you look at this slide now, what McDonald's has been telling us since we were children is that, hey, we are friendly, listening, adaptable, caring, competitive, early risers who sell burgers, French fries, and milkshakes. And that's what we want to be able to do as a brand. The secret to succeeding in business is in the first two letters of business. What are the first two letters of business? Be you. And that's it. There's all the other complexities of business that we need to pay attention to, of course. But the secret to really scaling up and being successful, especially in the hearts of our customers, is to be ourselves. And we call it authenticity, unique, the paper ring, the power of personality. Once we put that out there, that's what customers fall in love with. Now, again, that could be your individual personality, or that can be your corporate personality as a brand. So maybe you need some help on some ways to discover your pop. Here are 4 ways that you can implement today to start to really get that going and start to use the power of personality. Number 1, self-reflection. It always starts with us. Now, that us could mean me self-reflecting on who I am, my personal values, interests, strengths, and weaknesses, or in a corporate setting or an organization, This is when you want to get everybody to the round table and say, who are we? Internally, who are we? This is not getting any external voices. Internally, who are we as a brand, as an organization? Or I would say to myself, who am I? And don't tell me what you do. I sell tea. I am an international speaker. I'm an author. You do that, but tell me who you are without telling me what you do. After you do that and extract those answers who are really true to your nature, then it wouldn't hurt to solicit some feedback. Now I want to hear the outside voices. Why? Because the people around me, especially my trusted 5 friends, my wife, my family, they are feeling the result of my personality every single day. I would love to hear from them what they think or who they think I am. Why? They might be able to identify some blind spots and also highlight some of the really unique and excellent qualities about me and about you. In a business setting, that might be us asking our customers, our clients, who do you think we are? What would you say about us? After you do that, try something new. Do something you have never done before. As a business, as a brand, as a person. Why? Because when you do something new and you have a new experience, then new personality traits are discovered inside of you. Like, I was never here before, so I didn't know how I would react, how I would respond. And there might be something really, really good there. But if we only do the same things as a business, as a person, we'll only get the same results. And lastly, number 4, recapture. Recapture is really just dialing it all the way back to when we were children, when we were almost perfect when it comes to personality, because you are who you are. Who cares what the world thinks, right? We change and we shed as we grow. But when you recapture some of those essences, those really unique qualities about us, take one of those qualities, anything that you think is special, and apply it to something that you do every day. So for me, when I send out emails, every email, if it's Wednesday, I say wonderful Wednesday to you. If it's Tuesday, terrific Tuesday to you. If it's Monday, magnificent Monday to you. It's just a little way to make emails a little bit brighter. Now, it's just a small thing that I do, small effort, but it's the small extra things that we do, or the little extra, that makes us extraordinary. Clients always write back and say, wow, what a wonderful email salutation, brightened my day. It makes the communication and even negotiation in business a lot friendlier. Why? Just from an email heading. Take something that's childlike or a nature that when you were a child and apply it to something that you do in your business or in your life today. And that is one way that you can start to get the power of personality working again, or the wheels spinning again. All right? We're going to go through quickly now. Now, 2, we want to talk about product voice. And I spend a lot of time on the first one, because getting to know how to be hard to forget is one of the most difficult parts. But once we do that, now we could start to put that and instill that into our products, our services, and give our products and services a voice as well. We call that the art of customization. You could now make it as if your product is a person, and it should be at this point. Here's customization. It is when a product or a service is given life. It's almost as if we're enabling our product. Let's say this is a product. It's like the product can speak to you, speak to customers, or it can observe and adapt in real time. The best example of that right now is ChatGPT. It's real time. You feel like, oh my goodness, this thing is like really listening or talking and communicating with me. Our products can do the exact same thing. And that's when our products have a voice, customization. So our competitors, when we were getting into business, we saw when we would go, and I won't call any competitors out, but we would go and get a coffee and they'd ask us our name. Okay, cool. My name's Daniel. They'd give me my cup and my name would be Danielle. Now, what about if your name's Paul? Well, they spelled that wrong. And I would always ask audience, how many people got your name spelled wrong? And sure enough, it happened more than not. So we decided with our business to not only focus on customization and make it just a service, but make it an experience. I'm going to spell your name correctly. And by doing that, the person gets the intended experience. It's as if the cup was speaking to the customer. Why? Because their name is on it. Now your name is Lindsay, but not just Lindsay, lovely lady Lindsay, darling Daniel, magnificent Michelle. That's how we give our products and our services voices. Just like the email example, the email has character just because we add something to it. The receipt, when you're giving an invoice to your customer, a receipt, putting a smiley face on it. These are small little things that we can do to customize the experience and give our products and our services a voice. All right? I see the time's running out. So 3 ways to master the art of customization. Number 1, collect customer data. It's very important. Whether you're doing digital marketing, you're doing email marketing, collecting data is very important. Why? You could scan through that data and see what are the things that I could start to customize. So that's just sending out surveys, quizzes, and feedback forms to start getting data in that you could look through. Once you get that data, the computer-generated data, now you got to go back to thinking like a human. How you execute with that data has to be human, right? So Share a Coke is a perfect example. Coca-Cola started putting names on the Coke. John's Coke, right? But first they had to take in that data of what are the most popular names and get all that. But then they responded in a human-centric way. And number 3, I always just like to say this, write better emails. It is the best place to practice the art of customization. Make every email not to whom it may concern, but rather, hey, Daniel, how was the tea festival that you went to last week, right? Those are ways to just practice customization so it becomes natural. And if we do all of that good and we do that effectively, my friends, we will have a magnetic culture, which simply means we're not always out there recruiting people to come into our businesses and join us on our mission. People want to join our mission because they see our personality and what we're putting out there in the world. And it's like we have a 24-hour recruiting tool because people are always wanting to get involved. I'm going to skip that video. But we won't have a hard time finding the right talent, or we shouldn't, because the talent is always coming to us. All right. I don't want to go over time here, and I know that was a mouth load. So there is the power of personality, and hopefully some valuable takeaways that you can take and implement in your business today to start showing the power of personality. Thank you so much for your time. And today and tomorrow, begin with T.
Thank you so much, Daniel. That was a really great presentation. You really showed your personality there, and you did exactly what you said. Yes, you did exactly what you said.
Good.
You make yourself difficult to forget the customers to forget you. We certainly will never forget you. I certainly will never forget you. This is my first time interviewing someone from a bathroom somewhere. So that's really interesting. Yes. You know, I was gonna ask, but you quickly touched on that point. But I was gonna ask that, you know, I see, for example, you as the owner of the business, or you trying to portray your personality to your brand. But then do you multiply that kind of same personality within the team in your brand? You know, sometimes maybe it's just you, but others won't necessarily have the same personality as you. So how do you make sure of that? No?
Yeah.
And I think you touch on that. Yeah. How do you do that then?
Wonderful question. And it's always the number one question I get after this presentation, which makes sense. Now, the thing about the power of personality is not the power of Daniel's personality. The power of personality is what is real to you. So with my own team, I told them when we would hire people, you're not here to be another Daniel. What are you good at? What makes you jive, right? We had a soccer player who was really good at soccer. Bring the soccer ball to work. He stood outside of the tea shop doing keep-ups with the soccer ball. And customers were like, hey, how do you do so much keep-ups? It's the tea I drink. Be funny with it, whatever. We had a guitarist do the same thing. We turn the music off, play your music. It's what is natural to you. If you are more reserved and an introvert, well, you're probably a great listener, and you can do a lot with that skill. So it's about what you are good at, not how to be like the person that we think we should. That's kind of how we swing it.
I think that's a really great answer. Everyone on the chat really loves your energy, love your presentation. Now they want to go and try out your tea because of the fabulous energy that you've given to the crowd. Thank you so much, Daniel. It's really a pleasure to have you, and I'm sure everyone enjoyed your presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
This is all we got. Remember the revolution in our minds. This is all we got.
Lock me out of this life institution. I am angry and high on illusions. Yes, I hate, but it's not a solution. Try my best, but I'm just a human. Oh, we don't need to say we're sorry. We don't need to worship ever stars. We